Welcome, welcome to the morning edition, as we're calling it, of the November Coach Camp, Coach Office Hours. We had our first ever evening edition or Aussie edition yesterday evening, and it was a lot of fun. We had somebody from Australia join, and somebody from the West Coast of the U.S. join, which those were the two time zones that we had hoped adding that session. So excited for that, and also excited for today's version. We've got, I'm sure other people may jump in, but we've got two of our most active folks with us, Scott on our advisory committee, and Chris, man, who keeps coming to everything and having great ideas. So another one of my favorite people in the coach community. So thank you guys for being here. In our kind of pre-meeting meeting, we got to talking about AI, and I think this is um, a useful conversation, particularly through hey, Corey, hey, particularly through the lens, Scott, from how it integrates with how you can build tools that integrate with your coaching. So if you don't mind, kind of riffing a little
Sure.
bit on the project that you're working on and how it um, complements or integrates with your coaching practice.
Sure. Yeah. For years I've had as a tool that I've given to clients kind of a way of planning their week and tracking their week. And all it really is a glorified spreadsheet, but it's got some features built in to be able to do comparisons and look back and say, you planned this and this is what you actually did. But there's a ton of manual work involved because you're manually tracking it. And so I've had people ask me for years, oh, it'd be really nice if there was an app version of this that simplified this or simplified that or took this out or added this feature. Like for instance, pulling events from your calendar over and stuff, you'd have to do that manually now because it's just a spreadsheet. And so I took it upon myself to, my thought was I was going to use AI to kind of more or less mock up what I wanted it to do. But I fed it the spreadsheets and said, this is what I've been doing. I want an app that does this. It created an app that did that. And then I just started saying, hey, what else would be useful, or how could it do this? Sometimes it was an idea I had. So like the calendar linking, again, it didn't do that. And I'm like, is there a way you could add it where you could hook up your calendar and it would pull in this? They're like, oh yeah, we can do that. And it started doing it. And so I've got it out with about 8 or 9 past users of the spreadsheet and just handed it to them and said, here, play with this and see, and come back and tell me what's wrong, what doesn't work, what do you need? Um, what would you like? What would you not like? What's working right? What's not working right? That sort of thing. And I'm starting to get, bug reports and stuff that I'm slowly but surely, okay, let me fix that. Of course, AI is fixing it, not me. I'm going back to AI going, hey, this ain't working. But luckily, and all of this has been free. I'm not doing any, I'm not paying any money. Now, if I actually eventually want to release it in a way that I get paid for it, there will be some storage fees and things like that I'll have to charge money to do it. But right now, the version that I have for beta testing is I've developed completely for free. I'm hosting it completely for free, testing it completely for free.
So I
Um,
want to I want to
all of
parse
that.
a little bit, um, because what I saw when you showed me a quick preview is like at the footer of everything is,
Coaching call.
schedule a coaching session. So to me, it feels a lot like, in old school language, what we would call a lead magnet.
Yep.
But instead of pushing out a PDF, which we've all done, right? We've all written a guide or, created something, a video that we then shared with people
Yep.
as a way to get them to engage with us, to build trust, to, build a relationship, to complement,
Yep.
the other services that we're offering or the other products that we're offering.
And
And
ultimately, I'll probably have three levels. So I'll probably have a free version that is the lead magnet that includes the link for the coaching, all of that. I'll probably have a kind of an upgrade version that adds in some features, but the ones that require storage and more long term, and you have to pay a small fee for that. And then, I'll have something that I can use internally. Like if they're already my client, here, you just get access to the pro version for free, kind of thing. So I'll have it tiered out eventually. Again, not right away, but yeah, it's at the bottom. You're right. I added a fairly non-intrusive, hey, if you need help with this, if you want more work, schedule a coaching call here, kind of thing.
and that ties into what you already
Mm-hmm.
coach. I mean, this fits in your ecosystem of things that you're already talking about on your podcast,
Yep.
things that you're already coaching on. Um, I,
Yep.
and I think, when we explore how do coaches grow their coaching practice, you could now add in building tools like this, whether they're complex or um, we did a thing one time. Um, we called it executive summer school, and one of the sessions was about kind of having like a personal communications policy, like
Mm-hmm.
text me for this, call me for this, email me for this, don't call me after, kind of maybe a
Right.
one-page document that sort of helped to the people that you were closest to know best how to communicate with you. And we had made a mock-up to share, and several people were like, "Oh man, can I have that?" So I kind of did the same thing. I used Lovable. I think I did pay $19 or something for the service, and kind of did the same thing. Fed them the
Mm-hmm.
the template and said, "Can," or the document and said, "Can you make a template out of this that then people
Actually fill in and
yeah, could fill
print and
out and do." And it maybe took me a morning. This was a while back. This was over the summer. So less information out there on prompting and so forth. But maybe in a half a day, whipped up a template that somebody could engage with and create their own, personal
right. And
communication policy.
and I think the important thing to take away too is because I think a lot of coaches are worried about quote AI replacing us, as coaches. And I see AI more as supplementing what we already do and empowering it than necessarily replacing. Because I will tell you, the people I talk to, they still want a conversation with the person. You know what I mean? They still want somebody that goes, yeah, I get it. That sucks, or yeah, that would be really challenging. What have you thought about? Or, and yeah, maybe AI can do that. But the problem with AI is it doesn't know what you don't know, where a person does in a way. Because yeah, you could ask AI, what haven't I thought of? That kind of thing. But it's still not it doesn't have that experience factor that we have as human beings on the emotional side of it, at least today. Maybe that'll change because that's the other factor. I actually started working on this app about 5 months ago and I tried out several different tools. None of them were working the way I wanted them to. I kept running into problems. So I'd work for a week or so and then I'd like, okay, not going to use that tool, throw it out. And then another tool, somebody would tell me about another tool, and I'm okay, let me go try that one. So I tried 5 or 6 tools. Right now, I'm using the Google AI Studio, and it's worked the best of all of them. But it's really actually only been about a week and a half of work. So
Oh,
it's not like this has taken me, the actual app work has been short because that's the other thing is would it be a huge use of your time? Now, again, I did not start from a blank slate. I started from something that was already working too. I think that's also important key is I wouldn't go from like, Chris has years of experience with health coaching. There's ideas where he could go, okay, that would supplement it. But if he was just starting out today and had never coached before, I don't think it was a good idea to go straight to an app because you don't have the foundation to start thinking about what would help versus what would be a burden to the person and actually interfere with their goals.
yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. I thought that was a cool sort of vignette to explore for coaches and give some, you know, some color to the I don't know. Sometimes I see people either see AI as a dark cloud that's gonna eliminate everything, or a rocket ship that's gonna save it all. And I think, it's
Neither extreme is really
right.
true, I'm afraid.
It's gonna be something way more nuanced than that.
So,
So I thought this was a
as
cool.
Chris I know will back me up on, you need to read more history if that's your worry, because I think people have said that about every technology that's come along for the last 1,000 years.
Just on the AI stuff, I know these extremes from, it's going to take over the world to, it's not going to make a difference. But I think depending, like in the coaching world, if you're a lazy coach, AI will put you out of business. If you're a hardworking coach and do a lot of interaction with your clients and really get to that personal level and building rapport, no, it will help. So I think if you're looking for and there are a lot of coaches out there who just look for a quick way of making money and try to
Yeah,
do as least amounts of work as possible, I think they're at risk because why pay them when you can just get AI to do the same level of work? But for people like us who are very engaged and want to bring our personality to the relationship, then no, it's you're still unique. And if you're the product more than the coaching is the product, then I went out. If you're just selling coaching and not you, then that can I think can be a challenge
interesting.
moving forward.
Yeah, good perspective. Corey, good to see you. And Corey was in our habit counselors course that we did in August. The first time we tried like a compressed schedule, and man, you killed it. Hung right there with us. So kept right up.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, actually. I'd like to incorporate more of the coaching into, my expertise, which is more high school and college students and, things like that. And I'm working with a few students now, but it's not really coaching. So I have like I have to pivot, and I think about it all the time, but I don't act on it all the time. So I guess that's, I guess we get stuck. And then once I start, I probably will be off to the races. But yeah, I
So
right now, like I meet with clients and I'm trying to organize them. And most of their goals are things like, adjusting to school or adulthood or things like that, that transition. Um, and I'm working with figuring out, the calendars and the time management and all those things. And listening, I came late, but listening to Scott talk about what he was creating, I have like things in my mind because I created like a sheet of useful like YouTube clips on that I tried to find like young people doing like intros to the Google Calendar and tasks and stuff like that. And I'm not sure it's good enough. But I would be open to learning about other things that are better. And I apologize because I came in late, but
good.
that's my next challenge.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So tell the group, because I think both folks could have some interesting ideas. So kind of share, I guess, your what you primarily do now, and then what you'd like to do more of, or change the trajectory of.
Right. So right now, my expertise is in the college application process. And I work with students and families and guide them that way. And I love it. So I'm not, looking to stop that. But what I have found is it's a finite process. And then they get into school and they're done with me. And the relationship ends. And I never know if they're successful or anything like that. So in recent years, I have tried to continue the relationship. So once, for example, one student who graduated from high school and went on to college and successfully used my help and we were done, I decided to stay on as his like transition coach. And I love it. And I meet with him every week now and we talk about how he's adjusting to college life and how he's handling the time restrictions, living without a parent, living with a roommate, all this great stuff. But I do sometimes feel that when we speak weekly, it's the same conversation every week. How are you doing in classes? And we created a calendar. We transferred the information from his syllabi and from his school website with like their days off into his Google Calendar. We changed things around, but I'm like, how many times could I say, oh, I see you have a bio test on Wednesday. Let's create a study plan. I'm not sure I'm moving forward. So these are like beginning challenges that I'm not sure yet how to tackle.
Good, great example. And I love we always encourage coaches to get real specific on the what for whom. And I think you nailed that, right? The transition into the first phase of kind of living away from the family for, folks headed off to college. I just want to call that out in terms of um, coaches getting real specific about who they serve and what they help them do. I think you crystallize that in a really powerful way. Um,
It's
and
funny because when I sat through your program, and it's called habit coaching, and which can help with anything. I mean, I took it upon myself while we did it to use I was trying to walk every day this summer, and like I tried to use myself as the guinea pig, but really to me, I didn't want to call it habit. Like I wanted to put it out there as transition, right? High school to college and growing up, whatever your transition is. But I'm good at the counseling, you know, I'm not good at the marketing. So I don't know if it'll ever take off because that's, if you can't market yourself, you really don't have, you're not a counselor, So, I'll see how that goes. I do like though what you said, like to have that niche. I don't think everyone could be an expert in everything.
and you said another thing that we often hear when we do our 8 or 10 week habit coaching certification program. The that last 4 to 6 weeks is while people are coaching, we're continuing to have sessions and help them with those first interactions. And lots of folks say exactly what you said of, gosh, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I don't necessarily feel like I'm adding anything new. Um, but every week they're surprised by, this event that's clearly on the calendar. And I would say to don't we say this to coaches, and I'll say it to you, don't discount the value of being present, showing up, being proactive, and that it may take weeks or months or even years for folks to develop the ability to do that without, guardrails, without and some of it, I have an accountability partner that I talk to every single week because there are certain areas of my life I need that conversation to remind us to stay on track. So there is value in just holding that space, being present, him knowing that he's going to have somebody to review his calendar with, every single week. If it is really that simple, I think that's okay. And don't feel that somehow that's not valuable.
Right. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I've had a coaching client for 10 years that he literally has the agenda. I get on a call with him, and there are many weeks where he's like, okay, let me share my screen, go through this, go through this, go through this, go through this. And I sit there going, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Maybe ask one or two questions and then go, all right, we're done. And we sign off. And he's paid me for 10 years to meet with him once a month to watch him show me, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Right.
I'm not, every once in a while I do have a really valuable question, or we go a little longer, or there's something that we need to dive in deeper. But there are months where it's just like, good job. Talk to you next month.
So really what I'm hearing, and I liked what you said, Kendra, it's almost just an accountability partnership or relationship. So So this boy that I'm using as my example, because he's my first in this area, Ethan, I feel like he pops on. I don't know where he is. He's got the same palm tree background every time. And how are your classes going? Are you eating? Are you, I'm like the mother, almost in our relationship. And his dad pays me. So every month I send the dad an invoice and I feel like I owe him something. So I'll like give him a call and say, Ethan seems great or whatever, like real generic. I said, and I'm assuming we're going to continue next semester because I think you need at least a year. And he's like, oh, yeah, he loves talking with you. And I'm thinking to myself, he does? Like, I thought I was like nagging him the way I nag my own son. Like, I wasn't sure if it was successful. But now, like, I want more of that. Like, I want to do that every day. And I don't know where to find them all the time. Like, how do you, like, that's a whole, I guess we could have a whole new class on that.
No,
But
I
We'll
think this
talk
is
about marketing too, but Chris
that's
wants to
my, I
add something,
mean,
I think, too. So
I can have 10 master's degrees. I love to learn. I know I'm good at it, but I can't sell myself. I don't know where to put myself out. I know I could do this if I only could find the clients.
go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
Well, it's Corey was nicely moving into marketing and promotion. I'll go back to coaching at the individual, and this is different for everyone. If the young gentleman in question is happy with what he's achieving, then that's coaching, isn't it? But it's interesting that you had to ask the father if he's enjoying it and getting out of it, and not him. He's clearly expressed that to his father, but not to you. And that can sometimes happen in coaching that we feel we're the coach and therefore we lead. But I keep referring back to Stephen Covey's 1 + 1 = 3. You're an expert in what you've got, as you say, all this knowledge. What knowledge does the young lad have? What does he bring to the table? Could he then lead a session instead of you leading the session, asking the question? Get him to ask the question or and things like that. So it becomes more of a partnership than a coach and client relationship. It's more we're a team here. We both want the same outcome. What how what skills do you bring and what skills do I bring? And if the more they match, the more they work together, the bigger result we're going to get. It's hard, especially you're a teacher, I take it. Sorry, you were saying?
Guidance counselor.
Yeah, gun counselor. So you're an expert, and sometimes people can walk in like I'm health coach of many years of experience, and people just come in and just find it really hard to engage because they see me as the expert. They know nothing. So therefore, I'll just shut up and listen to what you have to tell me. But actually, they're very experienced in themselves, more than I will ever be. So I try to get out of them. Tell me, what is it you're looking for? Like a classic thing when people come to me, I always say, how can I help? That's my first question because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But people assume you do know because you're the expert. But I just ask, how can I help? And then people give you so much information about how you can help. And then as a coach, your job then is to help them from where they need help. Sometimes we get caught up and go, you want to lose weight. I know what's right for you. You need to do this. And it's like, no, 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 no. Get them and say, look, what do you think you need to do to lose weight? Oh, I need to do this and that. Okay. So what's the challenges you're facing right now in doing that? Because clearly you know what to do, but you're not doing it. And that's when the accountability comes into it.
And that's going deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true. Everything you're saying, I know is true. I got to get there.
Well,
Yeah.
and one thing we have to remember as a coach is when I say it, people hear it, but when they say it, they believe it. You hear the difference? When I say it, they hear it. When they say it, they believe it. Okay. So there's a difference between hearing something and believing something. I can tell you all day long, hey, if you stop eating 17 cookies a day, you'll lose weight. It may even be 100% true, building off of Chris's example, but you just hear that. If you say to me, I need to stop eating 17 cookies a day to lose weight, now you believe it. Does that make sense? You internalize it in a different way.
Right.
So it's asking questions to get them to eventually get, and that's the art of coaching, and that's the part that does take time to develop, and you have to learn and you have to work at it. And again, to Chris's earlier thing, it's the difference between an okay coach and a good coach, or a
Right,
great
right.
coach. One question you can ask, by the way, at the end of a meeting sometime is, what value did you get from the meeting today? Ask him that. You will be shocked at the answers.
Right.
Okay. Because a lot of times the thing you thought was really valuable, they don't mention, and the thing they got the most value of is something that you're like, really? That was it. That was your big moment. Okay.
Now, let me
It's
ask you,
weird.
how many I mean, I know that there's a million different answers, but do you guys all meet with people more than once a week? Like I know Kendra, when we spoke, you were into the check-ins throughout the week. I don't know how often that is
It
able to
depends.
sustain.
It depends. I mean, I think the science tells us that for most habits, a daily rhythm, even if it's tiny, is helpful. And so yes, I think if I can find a like I'm coaching somebody now, just started. I didn't realize I had turned on my coaching availability. And hers, she's on the habit of work on secret project, which she's got a big project that she wants to do. And Sundays she thinks is when she can make significant, but then it's okay, can you give it 10 minutes a day on the other days? Right? Can you, or even 5 minutes a day? Really, or can you write one sentence? Can you make one note? So even if it is a less frequent goal, I do encourage people to um, engage with it daily.
No,
Um,
but do you check in with them on that?
I do message her.
Okay.
I do message her in the app. Um, Mostly daily. If I've messaged a couple days and she's mentioned that she's not doing great, I'm not going to keep pinging her every single day. I'll slow the pace a little bit, but in general, yes. And that's why we love the app and the coaching interface in the app, because it makes that not a heavy lift. And you were saying like, well, I don't even know where to begin. Create a profile on the app. You can have it done in an afternoon. Send the kiddo and the dad a link and get them to write a testimonial for you, and then boom, now you've got that. And then the next time you're in a conversation with a parent, say, hey, I've got this transition coaching package, you know, what do you think? Or
Right.
if they say, hey, is there more we could do? You could say, yeah, I offer this transition coaching package, to help folks in their first semester or their first year, or whatever it might be. Um, so to some degree, I think our whole goal is to support. You are our ideal coach. You've got strong competence in an area, as you said, a bajillion, degrees and certifications and things like that. You need an easy way to make that marketable and not complicated, right? To get that rolling.
I tried playing around on it. I had a hard time. Maybe I'll give it another chance. And you
Okay.
both, Scott and Chris, you both also, for the majority of your clients, it's more than just a weekly meeting.
I was going to say with I have a saying that what works works.
Mm-hmm.
So I find out from a client what works for them. Some will say, look, I only need to touch base once a week. I go, fine. If that then helps them move forward to what they want to achieve, then it works. It's not for me to say, no, actually, you need daily, because that's what my coaching certificate tells me and this research tells me. And I have some clients I touch base every day with because that helps them. I got one guy in Germany, he goes about 3 years now, and he says, I just like the daily check-in. It really just keeps me focused. Where I've got another guy who he says, look, I'll contact you Monday to Thursdays, and then I'll contact you Monday again. He doesn't want any contact over the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
if I
whatever
then
works.
ask the question after a week or so, how's this working for you? And they go, yeah, great. I go, let's carry on then. What works, works. and everybody brings different, requirements to the table. And as a coach, you've got to match that. So a lot of coaches, poor coaches would, is that going back to that 1 + 1 = 3, I'm the coach, this is what works.
Yep.
And then they try to find clients who fit in with that.
Well,
Right.
Where I'm a coach where I go, well, I'll meet you where you need to be met. And therefore that makes me more attractive to more people.
well, and I think either can actually be viable.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes. Yes.
you are super, Chris. You are super adaptable. Corey, Chris has been in our community a while, and you can really, like you said, match the modality and the frequency, and I mean, clearly you're good at
It doesn't
this.
always work, by the way. I'm just
Well,
letting you
but
know. Sometimes you mess
you're
up.
you've got you can show up in person, you can show up on Zoom, you can show up on a phone call, you can show up on a video, you can show up in a text. You've got the full toolkit available to you in matching that, which is clearly phenomenal. I would say it's okay for somebody starting out to say, I only have this toolkit, and to be honest with clients, like, this is the toolkit that I have. If this toolkit works for you, then phenomenal. Let's work together. If you want a different toolkit, let me refer you to
Mhm.
another coach that has a different toolkit that's a good fit. And hopefully our platform does a good job of facilitating that as well. Corey, if you bump into a kid that's like, man, I am sitting at my desk all day long every day. I feel awful. I need to move more. And you could go, well, okay, I'm not really great at helping you move more. Let me connect you to another coach that can help you move more. So that's where the community side of it could work. And we have referral programs and all kinds of things that facilitate that on the back end as well. But the scenario you're describing is literally what we're built for. So I'd love to have you go through it and to see if you run into bumps, because we
Yeah,
need.
I had a hard time with it, to be honest.
Okay. Well,
I
then
could
let's get
try
on
again
the.
on my own. And if it's, if not, maybe you could walk me through some
Yeah.
things. I
We can
mean,
we can
Yeah.
we can help you.
Yeah.
yeah.
I see it as I see it as a both and. In other words, I kind of what Kendra's saying and what Chris is saying too, because I agree 100% with Chris. At the end of the day, what works for the client is what works for the client. But if you as a coach don't want to work a certain way, just be clear about that.
Right.
As opposed to going, oh, Mr. Client, no, you just have to work the way I you know you don't make the client change to do or don't change to the client. But if you're not going to work that way, if they want in-person coaching and I don't do in-person coaching, okay,
There's
let me
actually people
find
out
somebody.
there who just want one way of doing it as
Yep,
well.
Right.
It,
absolutely. And
yeah.
then the flip of that is, to Chris's point, there is also a degree of experimentation that I do where you know, I may start with the best practice and kind of say, here's what I recommend. Let's start there, but then we're going to see, and we may change. I have a lot of tools that I recommend for people. Guess what? They don't work for everybody. Okay,
Mm.
then don't use that tool. I'm not going to let the technology get in the way of your success. If we discover that doesn't work, all right, get rid of it and try something. Let's try something else. We're going to experiment. We're gonna
I
play in a way.
I had a coach and this is like nice of you to say, Kendra, about the strengths I can be adaptable and things like that. But that's also can be a negative. I had a coach many years ago. He said, the problem with you, Chris, is you think you can help everyone. And that's just not possible. Some people just can't be helped. And I was at the time going, yeah, I don't believe in that. I think everyone can be helped. And so therefore I might, not give up on someone when actually I should refer them out and say, maybe this is not working because we just don't connect or whatever. But I'm a bit stick in the mud saying, no, no, I can help this person. I just need to find the right way. And that comes back to your toolbox. I'm very much a coach as I try to get as many tools in my box as possible. That doesn't mean I have to use all the tools just because I
Right.
got them. It could be the same tool over and over and over again. But just occasionally it could, that tool, I just dust it off. This one works for you. So I think as a coach, if you can learn as many tools as you can, which you might never use, I think that just gives you a bit more flexibility and a bit more confidence in delivering, and helping people move forward. But yeah, some
Absolutely.
people just might want the same tool over and over and over again.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and again, that's part of the fun of coaching is it's, I clients, no two clients are the same, and sometimes the same client's not the same two times in a row. I mean, so it's always, and you can either see that as frustrating or you can see that as fun. And I think good coaches have the personality where they see that as, oh, this is a challenge, this is something new, this is fun, let me dive in and roll up my sleeves, and we'll figure this out together. I'm not intimidated by it. I work with a lot of financial stuff, and I've gotten now where somebody can show me their situation. It's like, okay, that's not overwhelming, and they're looking at it going, this is and yeah, for you it is, but it's not. We're not intimidated. We can figure this out together. Let's roll up our sleeves and do it. And then they start doing it. That sometimes they almost just need permission, a little permission, a little accountability, and they'll like, okay, because they have to borrow hope because they've run out. Their hope bucket is empty and they need to borrow it from you sometimes. So, okay, we can do this.
As a contradiction, I said earlier that, find what the client needs, what works, so for there. But there is an underlying kind of goal for me as a coach is I want my clients to become leaders in their own lives, in my case, health, instead of me always being the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people like that. Just tell me what I need to eat, tell me what I need to how to exercise and blah, blah. Those ones don't really light my fire because I can do that, with eyes closed. It's the clients who I help become leaders and they take the lead and go, oh, okay, I can do this. What about this? I'm thinking of doing this, Chris. What's your experience of doing this? Blah, 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 blah. And then it becomes a really nice relationship because we're throwing things back and forth. What I don't necessarily get fun from, which I don't tell clients, is if they just, and as Scott says, some days they will come and just want to be led. I'll be like, you know, um, but so I have an underlying kind of goal to help every client become a leader, and therefore, which can shoot you in the foot because they go, "Oh, I don't need you anymore. I know what to do. I'm doing it." But if you've got a good relationship, they know your value and your importance. But so yeah, even though I let the client try to work out what works for them, I also try to push them into the kind of the direction of becoming a leader.
That's great.
Yeah. You asked about marketing too. A lot of times, and you've already done the first step, and Kendra said it earlier, when you get really clear on who you serve and who is not a demographic, it's not age, sex, shoe size, blood type, whatever. It's a demographic. I mean, a psychographic. It's what's going on between their ears, what they're, I'm worried about making this transition on my own to college. I'm not sure. I'm afraid it's going to be overwhelming. That's you're getting in their head. You can start saying what they're feeling. Now, because you're working with young adults, sometimes you actually end up with two sets of psychographics: their parents and them. And they're similar, but not necessarily exactly the same.
Well, because the parents are paying.
Because sometimes the parents are paying.
I view the student as the client, but the student is not paying me. So it's that can be a challenge, you know.
Yeah, well, but again, you need to think it through as you've got two different demographic or psychographics. You've got the buyer's psychographic, the purchaser, the payer. What are their expectations? What are their worries? What are their, and you've got the end user, the client, the actual person you're working with. And again, some of those things overlap and some don't. Okay. So when you're messaging, right, you're messaging to both, but not necessarily always at the same time.
Right.
Okay. So sometimes you have something that speaks to both people. Sometimes you have something that speaks to just the buyer. Sometimes you have, some of it depends on what audience are you talking to. So if you're at a meeting where everyone in the audience is the parents, I'm going to speak to the parents, okay, and I'm going to try to speak their language and their concerns and their worries and their. And if it's all the kids, I'm going to speak to the kids, and I'm going to empower them to speak to the parents. I'm going to talk to them about what their parents are worried about. This is why your parents might want this for you, and this is why you might want this for you. So that I'm empowering them to go home and go, hey, mom and dad, I want you to buy this, in a way. And then so you think about where are your channels, where are your things? Everything else is modality. What I mean by that is, do I go on Coachdotme? Do I go on Instagram? Do I talk at a parents group? Do I join a leads group? There's a million different things, and none of them are good or bad. They're just different, but the framework applies regardless of the modality. Does that make sense? If I'm
Absolutely.
talking to someone, the framework's the same. I need to speak to their underlying worries, concerns, because here's the thing. If I can describe their problem in a way that they're in their head going, is this person like reading my mail? What the, how do they understand that? If you can speak that clearly, they immediately presume that you have the solution. Now you still have to deliver, this isn't bait and switch, we're not lying, but you see what I mean? If you have that much insight into the problem, you have to be able to help me with it. Okay. It's almost now your problem is talking yourself out of a sale as opposed to into a sale, which I have done. That's where you don't talk too much. Listen more than you talk. Ask questions more than you answer, that kind of thing. Because you can talk yourself right out of a coaching thing because you talk too much. Not that I'm ever guilty of talking too much, but
I think tying into the marketing and the coaching, I think, Corey, you've got a really hard job, in my opinion, coaching people who are not the payers. They're not making the investment in that sense. So when a client comes to me and the first question I ask is, how can I help? It could also be the question I ask if I know why they've come to me is, why are you here? And if someone says to me, oh, because my doctor said I have to come and see you, straight away that's like, so you don't feel you need to be here. So if you ask the student at the start, why are you here? And they say, oh, because I need help with this challenge or this problem or whatever. Great. If they say, oh, because my parents said it would be good to come and see you. It's like, for me, it's red, signs going, okay, right. So how do I get this person to take self-responsibility, empowerment, if they don't really think they should be here? And so the marketing side, I think what Scott was saying is, who are you trying to engage with? Is it the end user or is it the payer? And if I think it's really challenging, I don't have an answer. I'm just telling you, you've got a hard job to distinguish how you market yourself.
Right. And I agree. I have to figure out the best way to market. Like right now, the one or two people I do it with, they were my clients for college applications. So they hired me for one thing, but I established such good rapport with them and they enjoyed talking to me so for all those months that it was easy to bridge that. But now what I'm seeing is all these kids, and there's a lot, and I'm sure you know, that start college and have these mental health issues and have anxiety and ADHD, and their parents think they're paying a college that has all these resources, but these kids are not going for the help. So if they can, from their dorm room, speak with me once a week and I can help them anything, just calm their anxieties or help them make a plan. So I'm almost thinking like the parents love that the kid already likes me and is comfortable with me. So now I just want to approach it as, well, I can continue doing this, but then my target audience is only those people that have paid me for college applications. So I need to figure out, and I'm giving it thought, how to expand to people that didn't use me for their applications, but still have children going away to college, which is millions,
But you could start you could start with the population that is already engaged with you. And then the other thing is referrals. Hey,
Yeah,
if you have any friends that are having similar challenges, I have 5 more slots available, or whatever kind of a thing. Sometimes we think we have to speak to the masses when to get 10 or 20 or 50 coaching clients, you really don't have to go masses. You can stay with the network that you already have.
right. Yeah. It needs, I'm like, I'm at the beginning. I
Yeah,
see I
yeah.
have to figure it out.
Well, and I love the case study. I almost think, Scott, I almost think we should do it, and Corey, if you'd be okay with it, like document
Yeah.
it and use it as a case study is what's going through my mind, because I think it's a really perfect example of the type of coach that we
Yeah.
think.
It's great. I'd be happy. I mean, I have one or two. It's not like I'm so experienced, but but this is it's fascinating. I like it.
Cool.
Well, and again, when you think about marketing, okay, again, there's a lot of times the first place to start when you're starting out is what I call circle of a circle. Here's what I mean. You know people, but they know people. Okay. So don't think of this as selling to the people you know, the kids, the adults, the whatever. Think of it as using them to introduce you to other people. So I'm excited about this new thing I'm doing. I'm working with folks. I've been working with 3 or 4 that are transitioning to this, and it's really helped them. And this is what, and you're excited about it. I'm going to tell you, can I tell you about it? Kind of thing. I usually preface that with, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to sell Amway, or whatever your local MLM is, because usually when you say, can I tell you about this great opportunity, that's immediately what jumps into people's heads. And they're like, am I going to get a free steak dinner out of it? Because otherwise I ain't coming, kind of thing. But yeah, so I make it funny, but I want to talk to them about it. Tell them about it. Tell them your excitement carries a lot. But then the question you ask isn't, hey, do you need this, or does your kid need this? It's, do you know anyone who needs this? Okay. Could you introduce me? And it's as simple as, hey, Kendra needs it. Okay. Go back to Kendra. You person I'm talking to, ask Kendra's permission to introduce Kendra to me. And then simply make an introduction, and I'll take it from there. And now it's on you to follow up with Kendra. Okay. If you don't follow up, that's your fault. Okay. But it's as simple. It could be an email, could be a phone call, could be a text message. I don't care. Introduce me, give me Kendra's information, and then I'll follow up with Kendra. And a lot of times we make it really hard. But honestly, I have seen coaches go out and start doing that with the people that already know, like, and trust you. That could be your clients, that could be your parents, that could be other counselors, that could be your best friend. It doesn't have to, it's people that already know, like, and trust you, and have that conversation. And I have seen people get a dozen or more clients from that, just because what we're doing is we're keeping it secret. And then we're going, I don't know why no one's signing up. It's like, well,
Um,
because nobody knows.
can I can I
Go
jump
ahead,
in with
Chris.
a stereotype? Hopefully a positive one. I'm not accents, but Corey, are you originally from New Jersey?
No, I'm from Brooklyn, but not too far.
Brooklyn. Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say New York, but when I say people from New Jersey, they're from New York, and you go, no, I'm not from New York, I'm New Jersey. But I know the New York Giants and New York Jets play in New Jersey. So um,
Close.
what I traveling through America and just being alive in this world, people from New York or New Jersey are really good talkers. They love to talk. They love to engage with people and stuff like that. I think that is probably one of your strengths, is Scott saying, if you're not telling anyone, who they're going to know, just go and talk to people.
Yep.
Just talk. The line of work you do and your background from Brooklyn, I'm sure that's not uncomfortable for you. Where us English,
No.
we're a bit more reserved and we just don't go out and talk. We kind of wait. We wait for our permission to talk. Where people from certain parts of the world are just good at talking. And if that's one of your strengths, just go and talk. Don't worry too much about in-depth marketing. Just go to your strength and go, what am I good at? Oh, talking. Okay, I'll just go and talk to people. Where, I'm not great in certain aspects of marketing, so I don't go there because I can't do it consistently. So I
Right.
go to things that I can consistently do. That's my strengths, and go from that. So yeah, I take it from Brooklyn. You do you like talking to people?
Yeah, I'm good at it.
Yeah, use that. Use that strength.
Right.
Just engage with people, as many people as possible. And as Scott's saying, that circle knows a circle, and they know a circle, and it just goes out. And for me, for 25 years of doing what I do, my biggest marketing tool has been word of mouth. And the first mouth is mine. And that tells someone who tells someone who tells someone. What's that ad, L'Oreal? Is it for hair? You tell someone, they tell someone, and then just
Yeah.
everyone starts talking and things like that. It's a slow burner, by the way. It's not instant. It's
Right.
not viral,
Right.
but it's a slow burner. But if you keep talking to people, they will talk to people. Who will talk to people. Who will talk to people. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is great. I'm so glad I joined.
Yeah, I do too. This has been fun. And
How
I'm
often do you do
circle
this?
every month. We do this one every week. We do a coach mastermind one. I'll send you, I'm gonna send you a follow-up email and with some
Okay.
more.
And what's the difference?
Scott's a lot funnier.
These two guys are on the weekly group as well. This one is
Oh,
open
okay.
to this one is open to anybody that wants to pop in. The weekly one is a subscription group there. But you're right. The flow is similar, maybe a slightly more edgy and sarcastic, but
So the weekly one is also just kind of share your thoughts, your wisdom or your questions or whatever.
yeah, we love having new, coaches that bring um bring something to kind of get the wisdom of the group on. Sometimes it'll be something we're going through as a platform that we want to get folks input on. We could also use it as accountability, where we each set a goal of something we want to accomplish by the
Oh, that's
next.
good. Can we
Yeah,
do, is there anyone that could maybe, if I need help, like walk me through the Coach Me to
yeah,
set myself up on there? I'd be
absolutely.
happy,
Yeah, I
if
can do it,
anybody,
or
I'm
even
not,
Scott can do it. Yeah,
okay.
I don't mean to
She just
volunteer anybody.
volunteered you, Scott. You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Okay, so Kendra, you have my email, right?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I'm gonna follow up and connect you to us, and we'll.
I would love
Yeah,
that. Thank you so much.
of
Yeah,
course.
Kendra, you do have to learn if you hang out with Kendra long enough, you get volunteered for things, but it's okay.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Thank you. All right. I have a line of students outside my office, but I loved doing this today. So I thank you all, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Sounds good.
All
Thank
That's
you,
right.
great.
everybody. See
Take
y'all
care.
soon.